Did you know that nearly 70% of relationships fade not because of major fights, but because of lost interest? Now, what if the person who was once obsessed with you suddenly notices you're done? No warnings, no drama, just gone. Let's talk about how a man reacts when he realizes a Sigma female no longer cares. First, let's clear this up. A Sigma female isn't your typical woman. She doesn't fit into the traditional molds of dating and relationships, and she certainly doesn't play by society's unwritten rules. She's independent, confident, and completely self-sufficient. Unlike others who seek validation through attention, compliments, or constant reassurance, the Sigma female doesn't need any of that. She knows her worth, and she doesn't rely on anyone else to define it for her. She isn't the type to chase, beg, or prove her value, because she already knows what she brings to the table. If a man doesn't see it, that's his loss, not hers. This is exactly what makes her so magnetic. Men are naturally drawn to the mystery that surrounds her. She doesn't overshare, she doesn't try too hard, and she certainly doesn't seek approval. She's the type of woman who walks into a room and commands attention without even trying. Her energy is powerful because she's truly comfortable in her own skin. And in a world where so many people are desperate to be noticed, the fact that she doesn't care makes her stand out even more. For a man, the Sigma female is a challenge, but not in the way most people think. It's not about playing mind games or acting difficult. The challenge comes from the fact that she doesn't follow the script he's used to. She won't text obsessively. She won't rearrange her life for him. She won't lower her standards just to keep him around. Instead, she moves at her own pace, prioritizing her own goals and happiness above all else. And for men who are used to women who bend over backward for them, this level of independence is both thrilling and confusing. At first, he's hooked. He wants to be the one who captures her attention, the one who gets past her walls. He's intrigued by her confidence, her depth, her ability to hold her own. He enjoys the chase, the unpredictability, the way she makes him work for her presence. It's a refreshing change from what he's used to. She doesn't need him, but she chooses to be with him, and that makes him feel special. But here's where things take a turn. What happens when she decides she's had enough? When the effort isn't reciprocated? When she realizes she's dealing with someone who doesn't respect her, challenges her peace, or simply isn't as valuable as she initially thought? She walks away, and that's where the real shock sets in. Because most men assume that if they can just win over a strong woman, they've secured her. But a Sigma female, she doesn't stay in situations that drain her. She doesn't waste time on people who don't match her energy. If she sees signs of immaturity, insecurity, or emotional unavailability, she doesn't argue, she doesn't beg, she simply leaves. And that's when he realizes he lost something rare. At first, he's completely hooked. The Sigma female is unlike anyone he's ever met. She's confident, independent, and self-sufficient, qualities that immediately set her apart from the rest. She doesn't cling to him, doesn't seek constant reassurance, and certainly doesn't need him to feel fulfilled. And that is exactly what draws him in. He sees her as the ultimate prize, a woman who doesn't need him, yet still chooses to be around him. For a man who's used to women who prioritize him, bend over backward for his attention, or try to impress him, this is refreshing. It sparks something in him, an intense curiosity, a desire to figure her out. He tells himself, she's different, she's a challenge, and to him that makes her irresistible. With other women, he knows what to expect. He knows how the game works. He puts in a little effort, gives them some attention, and they reciprocate immediately. There's no mystery, no uncertainty, but the Sigma female. She doesn't operate on his timeline. She doesn't rush to text back. She doesn't drop everything just because he calls. She's in control of her own life, and he can feel it. She's not playing hard to get. She actually is hard to get. Not because she's trying to manipulate him, but because she has standards. She's busy with her own goals, focused on her own growth. She has her own interests, her own passions, and her own priorities. And unlike others, she won't compromise them just to keep a man interested. This only makes him want her more. He starts putting in effort, maybe more effort than he has with anyone else before. He texts first, makes plans, tries to impress her. He's intrigued by her independence, but at the same time, he's trying to find a way to make her dependent on him, even just a little. He wants to feel needed, to feel like he has some level of influence over her emotions. But no matter what he does, she remains herself. She's happy on her own, and that's both alluring and frustrating to him. But then, something changes. At first, it's subtle. Maybe she doesn't reply as quickly as before. Maybe she cancels plans instead of rescheduling them. Maybe she stops initiating conversations altogether. And for the first time, he feels it. A shift in energy. She's pulling back. The effortless connection he thought they had. It suddenly feels one-sided. The attention, the presence, the engagement, it's all fading. No drama, no fights, no explanations. Just distance. At first, he brushes it off. Maybe she's just busy. Maybe she's in a mood. But then, it keeps happening. The once vibrant energy between them, it feels off. Her responses are shorter, her enthusiasm duller. She no longer laughs at his jokes the same way. She doesn't text him good morning anymore, and for the first time, he starts to panic. This isn't how it's supposed to go. He was the one chasing, but he thought he had her. Now, suddenly, he's the one being ignored. And that messes with his head. Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest? Is she seeing someone else? His mind starts racing. He replays their last conversations, searching for clues. He wonders if he came on too strong, if he didn't try hard enough, if he did something to push her away. He starts texting more, trying to reignite the connection. He compliments her, tries to remind her of the chemistry they had. Maybe he even throws in a little jealousy, mentions other women, subtly tries to make her react. But nothing works. The harder he tries, the more distant she becomes. And that's when he realizes he's not in control anymore. At the beginning, he thought he was leading the dynamic. He thought he had the power, the charm, the ability to win her over. But now he's the one feeling uncertain, unsteady. And for the first time, he understands something crucial about the Sigma female. She was never his to win in the first place. She let him in because she wanted to, not because she needed to. And now that she's lost interest, she's simply moving on. No big fight, no emotional breakdown, no second chances. Just silence. And for a man who thrives on validation and control, that silence is deafening. This isn't how it's supposed to go. The Sigma female doesn't ghost, right? She's supposed to be direct, upfront, and clear about what she wants. That's what he thought. That's what he expected. She's not the kind of woman who plays mind games, so why does it suddenly feel like she's disappearing without explanation? At first, he tells himself it's just temporary. Maybe she's busy, maybe she needs space, maybe she's dealing with something personal. He reassures himself that she'll come back, that this is just a phase. After all, she was interested before. Why would that change? But then, time passes, and she's still distant. Her replies are slow, short, and lack warmth. The deep conversations they used to have, gone. The playful banter, the effortless chemistry. It feels forced now. She's no longer engaging the same way, no longer making an effort. And that's when the panic sets in. Did I do something wrong? He asks himself. He replays their last interactions, searching for any moment where he might have made a mistake. Did he say something offensive? Did he act too needy, too indifferent? Did he miss a signal? He starts obsessing over every little detail, looking for an answer that might not even exist. Then another thought creeps in. Is she testing me? Maybe this is some kind of game. Maybe she's pulling back on purpose to see how much effort he'll put in. Maybe she's waiting to see if he really cares. Maybe, just maybe, she wants him to chase her. That thought gives him a little hope. If this is a test, he can pass it. He just has to show her that he's still interested, that he's not going anywhere. So, he texts more. He compliments her, tries to revive the old spark. He suggests meeting up, making plans. He even throws in a little playful jealousy, maybe mentioning other women just to see if she reacts. But instead of pulling her back in, it does the opposite. She becomes even more unavailable, and then the worst thought of all enters his mind. Has she found someone else? This is when his ego takes the biggest hit. The idea that she might be giving another man the attention she once gave him drives him crazy, because in his mind, it was never supposed to go this way. He was the one in control. He was the one who had her interested, who had her attention. But now? Now he's the one left wondering. And the reality is, it's not really about her, it's about his ego. See, men don't truly chase women. They chase the feeling of being wanted. They chase their own validation. And when a Sigma female, a woman who once saw value in him, suddenly stops showing interest, it's not just a rejection, it's a blow to his self-worth. Because if she doesn't care anymore, then maybe, just maybe, he wasn't as special as he thought. This is where the real lesson kicks in. Men often assume that independent women, especially Sigma females, fit into one neat, predictable box. Always logical, always clear-cut, always upfront. They believe that because she's direct in many areas of her life, she will always communicate her feelings with complete clarity. But that's the mistake. That's the illusion. They forget that being independent doesn't mean she owes anyone an explanation. The truth is, sometimes she just stops feeling it. And that's it. No grand drama, no emotional breakdown, no detailed exit speech, just an internal shift that tells her it's time to move on. Maybe it's because the connection no longer excites her. Maybe she's outgrown the situation. Maybe she's simply realized that what she once thought was special isn't. Whatever the reason, she doesn't feel obligated to justify it. She doesn't stay in situations that no longer serve her, and she certainly doesn't waste energy trying to explain herself to someone who won't understand. And this is where most men struggle. They try to make sense of it. They want a reason. They want closure. They want her to sit down and spell out exactly what went wrong so they can fix it, argue against it, or at the very least, prepare for it next time. But that's not how the Sigma female operates. She doesn't leave doors half open. She doesn't engage in unnecessary emotional labor just to ease someone else's ego. She moves on in the same way she entered, on her own terms. And that's a lesson in itself. People aren't archetypes. The world likes to categorize women into labels: Sigma, Alpha, Beta, submissive, dominant, as if human emotions can be reduced to a formula. But emotions are messy. Relationships aren't math equations. And trying to predict the exact way a Sigma female will act based on some rigid personality framework, that's where men go wrong. They assume that because she is independent, she must be cold. Because she is strong, she must be unemotional. Because she has high standards, she must never second-guess herself. But that's not reality. A Sigma female is not a machine. She's a woman with depth, feelings, and personal boundaries that are shaped by her own experiences, not by what men expect from her. And when she decides to walk away, it's not because she's trying to teach a lesson or play a game. It's because to her the situation has run its course, and how a man reacts to that says everything about him. The real ones, they respect the space. They understand that relationships, even the best ones, don't always last forever. They acknowledge that if a woman like her decides to leave, it's not an attack, it's not a betrayal, it's simply a personal choice. These men might feel the loss, but they accept it with grace. They recognize that just as they have the right to pursue, she has the right to withdraw. They don't beg, they don't manipulate, and they don't try to guilt her into staying. But the insecure ones? They scramble, they panic, they try to regain control, not out of love, but out of a bruised ego. They text more, call more, demand explanations that she doesn't owe them. Some will act out, blaming her, accusing her of being cold, difficult, or too much. Others will try to make her jealous, posturing as if they've already moved on just to see if she reacts. And then there are those who will gaslight, telling her she's making a mistake, that she'll never find someone better, that she just doesn't know what she wants. But none of it works. Because once a Sigma female is done, she's done. And that's the hardest pill for them to swallow. They realize too late that they were never in control in the first place, that she was never theirs to own or define, that the power they thought they had was nothing more than an illusion, one she allowed them to believe in until she didn't. And that's the real lesson. You don't win a Sigma female. You don't tame her, trap her, or break her down. You meet her where she is, or you don't meet her at all. And if she chooses to walk away, you let her. Because a woman like that was never meant to be held on to by force. She was meant to be understood, appreciated, and respected, or left alone. Not every Sigma female will act the same way in a relationship. Some will sit down and have a conversation about why they're losing interest, laying everything out in a direct, rational manner. Others won't say a word. They'll simply fade away, not out of cruelty, but because they don't feel the need to explain something that, to them, is already obvious. Both are valid. Both are true to who they are. And that's the whole point. There is no universal rulebook for how independent women behave in relationships. Some people assume that because Sigma females are strong, confident, and self-sufficient, they will always communicate openly and directly when they are done. But independence doesn't always mean transparency. Sometimes it just means they trust their own decisions without feeling obligated to justify them to anyone else. And that's something many people, especially men, struggle to understand. Dating isn't about mastering some cheat code to predict a woman's actions or emotions. It's not a game where the right combination of words, actions, or timing will make her stay. The moment someone starts seeing relationships as a strategy to unlock or control another person, they've already lost. Real connection isn't about control. It's about mutual respect and understanding. And a Sigma female, more than anything, values that. She isn't looking for a man who can figure her out. She's looking for someone who accepts her as she is, without needing her to conform to their expectations. The biggest misconception about independent women is that they are emotionless, that because they don't chase, beg, or cling, they must not feel anything at all. But that's not true. Sigma females experience emotions deeply. They just don't express them in ways that society has conditioned people to expect. If she loses interest, it doesn't mean she never cared. It just means that somewhere along the way, the connection stopped being fulfilling for her. And once that happens, it's already too late. Because a Sigma female doesn't do second chances. She doesn't stick around to fix something that no longer aligns with her values, her growth, or her happiness. When she's done, she's done. And no amount of pleading, chasing, or proving will change that. The best thing anyone can do: respect her decision. Learn from dating isn't black and white. It's not a simple equation where A plus B always equals C. It's messy, unpredictable, and full of grey areas, miscommunications, and lessons, some harder than others. People don't always say what they mean. Feelings shift, connections fade, and sometimes, no matter how much effort you put in, things just don't work out the way you expected. But that's okay, because every experience, whether good or bad, teaches you something. If you're a Sigma female, don't waste your energy explaining yourself to someone who never truly valued you in the first place. A man who genuinely respects you will understand your worth without needing a long speech or a final explanation. If he didn't appreciate you when you were present, your absence will teach him more than words ever could. Some people only realize what they had when it's gone, and when they do, that's no longer your problem. You don't owe anyone closure, justification, or another chance. Your peace is your priority. If you've ever walked away from a situation like this, where you knew your worth and refused to settle, drop A in the comments. Let the world know you chose yourself over staying in a dynamic that no longer served you. Your strength is inspiring, and your experience might just be the encouragement another woman needs to walk away too. And if you're curious about how to rebuild interest in a relationship, whether it's with someone new or someone you once cared about, make sure to check out my next video, because while some things are meant to end, others might just need a new approach. Until then, stay strong, stay focused, and never chase what's already falling away.